we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to the sit down at the Purely Arsenal podcast. We've beaten Spurs, we've beaten Liverpool, but we haven't played anyone yet. It's Neil Shah. How you doing, Neil?
I'm all right, thanks, Jack. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, mate. If we sat here a week ago and said, got 6 points out of the next two, you would have said, yeah, definitely, with your optimism, but I would have said, pinch me, you're talking rubbish. But here we are. We both predicted wins. I don't think we got the score right on this one. I think you were a 2-1 and I was a 1-0, something like that.
Yeah, I think 3-2. Wow.
But in watching the game, from the get-go, I thought it was a ridiculous prediction from myself to say 1-0 because it was never going to be that lower scoring game. But we went into the game, obviously, on a huge high from the Tottenham game. Always interesting when you've got back-to-back big games, but obviously, we knew we were confident going into the game, and we knew Liverpool had some issues, or they have had throughout the whole season. But they've drawn a lot of games. I think this was only their second loss in 2022, so it wasn't like there's a huge difference. And I watched a lot of Liverpool games this season because obviously, enjoying their demise, obviously. But if you're watching them, the data doesn't really point to them being any much different from last season in terms of they create the same amount of chances. They're still pummeling teams. I think they were the highest possession team in the league before this game, somewhere around sort of high 60s or something percent. They're dominating the ball. But they were obviously, the big difference was they weren't as clinical in one box and they weren't as safe in the other one. So, and we really, hopefully, we're looking to play on that. Before we get into the game, Neil, there's so much to talk about in this game. I think it's got to be one of the games of the season, just as a neutral perspective. But I want your thoughts on Tommy Asa and why he started him. Because I was really nervous. Like when he put, I love Tommy Asa, but we haven't seen him at left back since the away game at Tottenham, I think. Obviously, he wasn't particularly bad in that game, but we were terrible. So I just wonder what your thoughts are. I think there was no evidence of Tierney not being fully fit. Obviously, we knew Zinchenko was touch and go and he wasn't in the squad. I think, in hindsight, it's a masterclass, but initially I was quite worried. What did you feel?
Absolutely the same. To be honest, I didn't even remember it. You just mentioned it. I couldn't remember that he'd already played in that position once before. So I was like, what? What's he doing? So I was really nervous. I thought, no, not for a game like this. Are you serious? And then as it progressed, I thought, oh my God, I think we've got another left back here. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. He was magnificent. I mean, there were so many players again. I think you might have said it in the previous pod, but when you've got so many players that you can laud about in every game that potentially could be up there for man of the match, something good is happening with the team. And he was up there. Jack, he was definitely up there as possibly one of the players of the game. And wow, he just nullified Salah, didn't he?
Absolutely.
I think there was 2 or 3 instances where I thought, oh no. And he just was there. He just stopped the run and he stopped any potential attacks. And I thought, how the hell has Arteta seen this for a game like this against a team like that, who we know are known for, quick attacks, strong attacks. And Tommy Asa was magnificent. We've got 3 left backs. I mean, Tierney's going to get further pushed back in a way.
Yeah. It must be interesting for his. Obviously, he's got good character, so but and he has been very good in the last few games that Tierney's played. So, I kind of likened it to the cup final and the City game. Where he played Niles in the left. Oh no, we were playing about 3 then. But in order to sort of nullify. But this one, the reason I was a bit tentative about this one was I was really thinking about the game. This was the first game we played all season where the other team is really used to dominating the game, right? Even Man United, I mean, they counted on us, didn't they? We dominated that game. Tottenham, we knew how they were going to play. Liverpool, all the evidence suggests that they try to dominate the ball still. They're not doing it as effectively, but they basically do. And we saw some of that after the first goal, which we'll get to. So I just, I was just watching, and I got very worried about ball progression, and I was like, I'm trying to understand, is this, I started to think of it as a negative, you know? And when I speak to Liverpool fans about it, they go, yeah, but Salah and Trent, they've not really been doing it anyway. I went, but the evidence from this game suggests that actually they were the least affected they've been all season, because their expected goals all season, this was the least they'd had since the start of last season in any game. So, and I think Tomiyasu was the whole back four, but Tomiyasu was a huge reason for that. He's such a good one-on-one defender, isn't he, Neil? It's like we haven't seen him for a long time, so you forget a little bit of what his attributes are. A little bit. Yeah, he was just brilliant. I mean, Salah wasn't in the game.
No, that's why he took him off.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, and I also think he took Trent off for the same reason. I mean, everyone's saying he's injured, but I'm not sure. I think it was because he was run ragged by Martinelli. I think that he took his key players off because we were just so good.
Yeah,
we were so good, and just going a bit forward. I know that everyone's going on about, oh yeah, we won because of the penalty, but I think we would have won anyway. We were absolutely near the end. We were so dominant.
Yeah,
we were just too good for them, Jack. And I've not seen this in years.
No, and that's what that penalty. We'll get to the decision, but that's kind of where you talk about earning your own luck, isn't it, really? Because you spend more time in their box, causing chaos, suffocating them. And we had 46 touches in their box to their 19 in ours, I think. You spend more time in there challenging them, they're going to make a mistake. That's what happens, isn't it, really? And I think that's what it really come down to. But I was driving back from the gym, and it was obviously 8 a.m. start time for me, and I was about 1 or 2 minutes late. So I was like, the game started, so I was just about to put it on my phone. And my brother, he doesn't call me much, full stop. But if he calls me because Arsenal have scored. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. If he's calling me, it's because Arsenal have scored. And I got a phone call when on my end the game hadn't even started. So I went, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave the phone call and just let it play out. And I was just getting a coffee from Starbucks, and I was right next to my house. And then I saw the goal, and the call was still coming through. So then I answered it. But Neil, talk me. What a start! What a move! Obviously they can see it from their point of view, but where did it start, Neil? Was it with Saliba?
I think so. It was Saliba, and then I think he played it out to White, didn't he?
And then that's Saka, or directly to Saka.
Saka, and then Odegaard's pass. Oh, God. How many times have I watched that? What a pinpoint pass, and Martinelli running. Saka and Martinelli destroyed Liverpool. Their runs down the wings with sanity. Yeah. They were so good. Again, look, another two contenders for player of the match. You know, they were so good. It's mesmerising. I think they're getting better. I keep thinking all of the players are going to get better and better, only because the confidence that it's breeding. It's almost like they're going to start believing. I don't know if you've seen something, well, you must have seen it. So many times when Henry is asked about that invincible year, he said, because we just knew we were going to win every game. We wouldn't accept anything less. Yeah. And that is why they said we just thought we had no way we're going to lose this game. No way we're going to win. So having that mentality of winning, and then obviously there was a few draws in that season. And I just think that, I know it's early days, but I just think that same mentality is growing within this squad. It's even showing in the players that play in the Europa games as well. They don't play often. They haven't had many minutes on the pitch, and look what they're doing. They're doing the same kind of thing. And to me, gosh, that pass from Odegaard. And again, you've got to credit the back four. I mean, Ben White, I think, isn't getting the justice he deserves. He's playing brilliantly, Jack.
Yeah, and he had a really tricky task, because that was their best player on the left wing in Diaz. I think he's their best player.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, he's effectively moved out of position. I mean, I know he can play right back, but he was brought in to be a central defender, and he's not. And he's adjusted to it so well. He's taken it on the chin, and he's doing such a grand job. And his runs are confusing the defenders, because it doesn't matter even if he collects the ball or not, but the fact that he's doing that, he's being a distraction.
And he's really good at that overlap now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's getting
just getting himself forward.
Fantastic stuff. But yeah, Odegaard's pass, mate. but Martinelli, what a finish as well. The whole thing was great. It was so fast. It's so fast. We've gone back to that era where we can just punish teams within seconds.
Yeah.
But again, it was Saliba at the back again, wasn't it? Once again.
Yeah, he likes to play on the cusp, and he's good at bringing the ball out. I think you're right with Odegaard's pass, because Martinelli was moving at such a pace, and the pass became so vertical. Obviously, it's a lot easier if you play that pass wide. If you, for example, went in front of Trent, but he had to go behind him, yet not get close to the goalkeeper. So the weight of it had to be perfect. I also think Saka's pass was fantastic to Odegaard, because he was going at such pace, wasn't he? But
they checked, I stopped for a second because they checked for VAR. I thought, where? And I thought it was where Martinelli, but it wasn't. They were checking where Saka had received the ball. They were checking that for offside.
Yeah, and there's still some arguments from Liverpool fans that was off, but I've not seen anything at the point of the ball release to prove that was off. All I'm seeing is pictures of him being off, but there's no ball release from it. So I'm not really, I don't think they would have called it back otherwise, because he's offside. But it's just mental, isn't it, to think that Martinelli, not that I mind, but he may not go to the World Cup. And if Brazil aren't walking this World Cup with their eyes closed, I can't believe it, because how are you not taking this guy? I know they've got the boy from Real Madrid, Vinicius, who's probably, the best left winger in the world, but Martinelli's got to be in the top 5 or 6, isn't he? Up there right now. They've got to be taking him, at least in the squad. I think they probably will, but hopefully they don't, for our sake. But, I think they probably will. And I think it'll probably be good for him. But the difference there, Neil, from what you said in the, the Invincibles and that belief that you're going to go anywhere that win. I mean, our last 14 games in the league against Liverpool, we've won 1, I think, or something crazy like that.
1 or 2, yeah.
And the one that sticks out in my mind was the one where they'd already won the league and Reece Nelson scored at home.
Yeah.
But chalk and cheese. I mean, that game was a snatch and grab. I mean, we had 2 shots on target. They had like 23, and it was just all backs to the wall performance, and obviously nice to win it, but it was never repeatable or sustainable.
That was without the crowd, wasn't it?
Yes, it might have been. Yes, it was during COVID. Yeah, and obviously they just won the league a week or 2 before, so you weren't playing the real Liverpool or anything like that. And it was a tough watch. I mean, it was great to win it, but it was a tough watch. But this one really felt leading into it that we could go properly toe to toe with them, and that's exactly what we did, I think. And it was such a fascinating game because, like you said, their performance, their results aren't there, but they're still a quality team.
Of course they are, yeah.
And after we went 1-0 up, do you think? I wanted to get to, what kind of belief this builds in the team, because we're such a young team and none of them have really won it or won titles yet. So it's almost like we're trying to think, certainly not that 2014. A lot of them had won it in 2002, for example,
Yeah.
Whereas we don't have that. And it's almost like you need these big matches, and the big matches I'm really talking about is Liverpool, City, the ones that we've really struggled in over the years, even under Arteta, really been battered. And this game, just from the get go, you knew you were in it, you knew you had a really good chance. Do you think when we went 1-0 up that altered the game plan a little bit, or we took our foot off the pedal because we did sit a little deeper and allow them a little bit more of the ball? They weren't creating a ton, but we didn't play the way we've been playing all season, put it that way, in that 20, 30 minutes after the goal, Neil.
Yeah. I was surprised by that. I thought, why are we doing this? Because I think we're all saying that we know that Liverpool, as good as they are, they're susceptible at the back, and we've got the forwards to hurt them. So I was a bit surprised. I think we did. I think whether it was we took our foot off the gas or whether we even were overwhelmed by the amazing start, because I don't know whether they started thinking that we're actually playing Liverpool and, oh my God, we're 1-1 up inside 5 seconds or whatever it was. I found that really odd. And then they did take, and that I did get nervy. I've got to admit, the weird thing is, I wasn't nervy during the Tottenham game, but I was nervy, especially the last 10 minutes of this game. I was really, really nervy. I didn't want to throw it away. Even
it was so end to end, wasn't it?
Yeah. Even with that, even when he had already gone way over the time allowed, and I thought, what are you doing? They're going to have one attack. I said, he's letting them have one more attack. This git referee is letting them have one more attack. I thought that might hurt us because there's been games where I think we've conceded really late to them. I remember one specific game, and I can't remember how many years ago it was, and we were winning, and then they scored and they drew, and I was like so annoyed.
I remember that a few times when we were with Heskey and all this.
Yes, exactly. So I was really surprised. I thought, why are we doing that when we know that if we play with the same intensity that we've started with, we could be all over them. And it proved it, didn't it? Because after when we got back in the game, especially in the second half, they couldn't handle us. They could not handle us. So I didn't understand that. I have no idea why we did that.
My theory on it a little bit is I think it is a little confidence thing. I just think it's been so long, this sort of that block where we've played against these teams and been, basically outclassed and or just pummeled. I think last season at Liverpool, again, we were decent for 30, 40 minutes and then boom, goal, and we're 3-0 down suddenly. And, you could see there was progression at home against Liverpool last season, for example. It was 0-0 for a long period of time, and I think it was very even. And then Ramsdale made that little error, and that was kind of the game got away, and we never really believed we could come back. Yeah. But in this game, I just felt, I felt after 1-0, I felt they were massively there for the taking. I was frustrated that I felt we were the better football team and we were giving them too much respect, basically.
Yes.
And I wonder if that was why, because we ran in, didn't we, at half time? We sprinted in, all the players. If you go and watch it, even though we just scored, they flew in like they'd been called in. And I wonder if it was like, no matter what the score is here, let's get in and have a word here because this is not the game plan. I don't think that was part of the plan at all to do this counter-attacking thing, but it did show we're quite effective at it, which was good because we've not really done that all season. That was very good to see because we're probably going to have to do that a few times this season, certainly against the likes of Man City, because as good as we are, I don't see us dominating the ball against Man City. But let's talk about the couple of key moments after the first goal. Obviously, they weren't really creating a lot, but there was a warning sign. There was the Saliba moment where could have been an own goal. It was a decent save from Ramsdale. I think Saliba actually did quite well because he couldn't do much with it.
He couldn't do much else, no.
What's your thoughts on their goal? Obviously, Gabriel's going to get a lot of the criticism for it.
I was worried because I thought we were struggling with that's one thing I still think we've got to work on is when the ball is lifted high in the air. And I think we tend to struggle with that. And I don't see why we do, but we do. But Gabriel, he kind of misjudged it and he hit it, didn't he? He got a touch on it, which gave them the impetus to carry out the attack. And I think that threw the players, that threw the defence. It was that touch because he stretched his leg out, didn't he? And he literally got a slight touch and that moved the ball in the direction of the Liverpool player. And then that was it. And it was just crossed over and scored. And I just think that I've noticed that a few times where the ball is played high, when it's been hoofed in the air, we tend to struggle a bit. And I think Arteta's got to work on that. We've got to work a way around.
When we're playing that high line, maybe.
Yeah. And that was it. But I don't, of course it was frustrating. And it was deeply frustrating, to be honest, because I was thinking just what you just said, that we should have carried on the way we started in the first couple of minutes. And we could have even put the game away. And we didn't. And I thought, now we've allowed them back in and that's going to make their confidence grow. So I was gutted by it. But then, it was a tough watch, but then we didn't let our heads drop once again. We did not let our heads drop. Well, and that is the difference.
That's been a big thing from us conceding this year. The crowd gets straight up and starts cheering, and the players seem to do the same. They don't let their heads get down, do they? And they know how to react to goals. And we're almost at our most dangerous when we've just conceded. But the weird thing was Núñez was offside from the ball over the top, and if Gabriel doesn't touch it, it's not a goal.
That's right.
It doesn't go into his path. And I find that offside actually quite interesting because they do this thing now where they don't put the flag up straight away. They let the play out.
Let the play, yes.
But if he knows he's offside, he's not going for that ball anyway. He's just not touching it. Do you know what I mean? But they don't put the flag up. So it's, by the letter of the law, it's obviously it's a fair goal, but that doesn't, that doesn't make a lot of sense at that point.
I think I said in the chat, didn't I? I said I thought that was offside.
Did you? I felt I was too livid at that point, but to see it, I mean, it was so But it was frustrating. It was a decent finish from Nunes. I'm watching Saliba. Saliba has to come across, so it's 2-on-1 at that point. Not a lot he can do. It's a very good ball cross. And
I think he had his back to it or something. Or was that the second goal? I can't remember now. No, that might be the second goal.
We'll get to the second one, which Saliba, he'll definitely be looking at that. He'll be looking at that. So we'll get to that one. But we're 1-1 and it's neck and neck, and you want to see a reaction. And I remember all of us on the chat were like, okay, that was coming. Right, they weren't pummeling our goal, but it was coming in the sense of we've taken our foot off the gas. We're not dominating the game anymore.
They had the better possession as well.
And 100%. They did, and they looked the more likely at that point to score. And it was probably at that point a fair result to go in at half time. And what was funny in the chat is we were so frustrated. We were all just saying, blow the whistle, get them in for the chat.
Oh yeah,
for the talk team. Do you remember?
Right.
I think Mike was saying, and I was agreeing. I wasn't disagreeing. I was going, just blow the whistle. And it was about 4 or 5 minutes injury time in the first half. I can't remember what for, but it was. And then what happens is I think it's a free kick or a corner to them that we break away from.
Yes.
And I think the part that not many people have talked about is what Jesus does, because he does so well. He really had Thiago. I think it was him and Thiago again. And he really, although Thiago is a fantastic player, but he's so strong with his back towards the opposition's goal. And he really starts that whole move. But I just want your thoughts on them, because it's a great break. But thoughts on that, on how Gabriel found his way up there. Just a brilliant move, Neil, really, wasn't it? But brilliant counter-attacking move, which we've not been able to do, and we've seen it a few times from us this season, but just a really, really good move at critical time as well, right as we go in.
There's never a better time to score a goal or worse time to concede, and that's right before half-time, and luckily it went our way for a change. And that probably changed the team talk as well. So maybe that's part of the reason why they were running in, only because they were probably called in, as you said earlier. But
I think they've been told before that. Yeah.
They were buzzing from the goal. They're like, let's get in there. Listen to what the gaffer has to say and let's go. But, oh, my God, Jesus. If you look at him, it doesn't look like a strong player. But he is, isn't he? He's stocky, incredibly strong.
Short,
stocky. He's not the biggest player in the world, but what he can do, maybe he's got a good centre of balance as well, but he's fantastic, and it's all him. He starts, pretty much the way Saliba started for the first one, it was all him. But he did great, didn't he? Yeah, and then he laid the ball out, and I can't remember if it was, did Saka get the initial touch now? That's the goal. I can't remember what the flow was, but
I think it was straight out to Martinelli, because it was Martinelli running.
It was straight to Martinelli, yeah. So it was all down on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And his run, they just can't keep up with him. But also, same likewise, Saka. Well, I tell you something, for Gabriel's potential mistake for the first goal, he made up for that because he was running down the middle. I think Odegaard might have been behind him, but it was Gabriel that was...
How did he find himself there, Neil?
I don't know.
It's mental, isn't it?
And I think that was a distraction. And great from him, great awareness, because obviously when the pass came in from Martinelli, he let it go.
Yeah, lovely little disguise dummy, yeah.
Brilliant, wasn't it? That was so good. And I don't know whether Saka caught him or he knew that Saka was there.
Yeah.
And Saka's got to do more of that. I think he's capable of doing more than that. And we could probably score a few goals like that. I think one of the pundits mentioned that Sterling does a lot of that sort of stuff, and Saka's more than capable of doing it.
Yeah.
And we could net a few times using that ploy. And, what a goal to score. What a time.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's got to affect the team talk. He's got to have done it. Yeah, he still probably would have said the same thing, that, right, you get on them because, they're vulnerable. But at the same time...
Maybe calmed the tone a little bit for him, to a few decibels or something. But
absolutely.
I can't deny it. The more I watch it, the Martinelli run reminds me so much of Henry against Zanetti away at Inter Milan. Do you remember it? Henry when we won 5-1. And he's running, and he stops. And then he goes again. But this time, Martinelli stops. Henderson and Trent just keep flowing. And that's, in fairness, if you watch Martinelli...
Trent's still running the wrong way, mate.
Oh, he's shocking defensively. In fairness, I don't rate Southgate at all, but that is one thing I kind of understand from his perspective. He is getting it rinsed.
Defending, but I think it's because Martinelli was absolutely ripping him apart.
Yeah.
He probably lost all confidence in the game because all the analysis was saying, oh yeah, look, he should have stayed in his position, not gone towards to help Henderson out. He should have stayed in the middle. Da, da, da. But I think it's because he was being so frustrated all game by Martinelli.
Yeah.
I didn't think he had an answer.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, we've got to respect us. I think they are now, the players. The players have got to have respect and faith in their own abilities because we've got a damn good squad. We really have got some fantastic players.
Oh yeah. And he's 6 million for Martinelli is just unbelievable. But
wow.
it's just, and he's growing and he's getting better. Don't really know what the ceiling is of the
only
bloke.
concern is holding on to these players. That's it. We've got to now.
Well, they opened up yesterday, didn't they? They said that talks with Martinelli have begun until we're trying to hook him down till 2028. But at the moment, Neil, all these contracts are unlike last year and the year before. You're not worried about them when you're playing like this because they're signing them, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? If we keep playing like this, they're signing them. We remember back in the day, it was a worry once we'd won things. And then obviously the big guns calling. I'm not talking about anyone in this league. I'm talking about the Real Madrids of the world. But if we're playing like this and we're getting the results like we are, all this Saka, Martinelli, that's signing. If we continue to do this, we've just got to continue to do it. Yeah. So I'm not stressing too much. Obviously, the Saliba one is the one I'm a little bit of because he's had so much beforehand. But again, I'm not worried.
I can't see him not. He's enjoying himself. He's loving it.
He knows he couldn't be at a better club for a young. He's 21. I mean, he's unbelievable, but it's 21. They
all are. They're all in their early 20s.
This is the place to be for. To be honest, if we keep playing like this, someone like Jude Bellingham should be looking at it going, this is where I want to go. That's the place to be for young top talent. We won't get him, but that is pretty much the type of player that would fit perfectly if you took a few tens of millions off his price. But Martinelli was just unbelievable, wasn't he, in this game? I mean, I think I saw a tweet when someone said if you sub your right back, your right winger, and your right midfielder off because they subbed off Salah, Trent, and Henderson.
Yeah,
that pretty much sums up how good your left winger's been. And he's just
to Tottenham as well. We did it to Tottenham. He came up to call his son, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's really good to see the contrast between because obviously probably the three best left wingers in the league. I'm sure I'm missing out a couple. Is probably Son, Diaz, and Martinelli. But in the last two games, Martinelli has just shown. He's the man to be talking about in that position. Do you know, he's just relentless. He's relentless. His energy is just contagious. He is everything in our front three. And I mean, and I think Jesus brings out the best of him, and that it's just unbelievable. And obviously, when you create a goal and you score a goal in the first half like that, but he was absolutely, even when Gomez come on, he was ruining him every time. It didn't matter who you put there. I mean, it's just, the guy is just so strong, so fast, so good on the ball. I mean, it's just brilliant. I was watching Diaz because I've always thought, ever since Liverpool signed Diaz, I was like, oh, he's a really good player. But you see the difference because we'll talk about it. But in the second half, where Diaz was basically 2 or 3 yards ahead of Saliba, and I know it's Saliba, but he just eats up that ground. But I don't see many centre-backs eating up that ground against Martinelli. And Martinelli's a lot stronger than that Diaz. He's a bit slight. He's a bit dirty, but he's a bit slight. He's not. Martinelli is a strong boy for his age. And I'm forgetting as well, I think Diaz is 3 or 4 years older as well. So you just, Martinelli's not there yet. He's not even that, which is amazing. So you're dealing with an elite player. But we go in, like you said, 2-1. I think a little fortunate, I think it's fair to say, to be at 2-1 at that moment anyway. End of the game's a different story. But whatever he said at half time, it was exactly what we wanted him to say. Because when we came out for the second half, we were, from the moment go, that was where we were going, yeah, we know we're a better team than Liverpool. We didn't show it in the first half despite the scoreline, but we're going to show it in this half. And it was one-way traffic. But as odd as it was, they scored against the run of play, didn't they? And it was I don't think, I've heard a lot of people sort of blaming Saliba's position. I think it was just a fantastic goal.
It was a great goal.
Yeah.
For me, he's a great player, to be fair.
Yeah, he's annoyingly good, isn't he? And he
I was worried.
Yeah,
when he came on, I thought, oh, no. That's what I said. I said, oh, no, he's Firmino. I called him Firm. Firm's on. I thought, it worried me, I have to admit. That was probably a point in the game where I thought, oh, gosh, he's going to do something. He always scores, you're right. He always gets one up on us, doesn't he? And he did it. And it was a great goal. And it was a great pass. Pretty much like the Odegaard pass that led to our first goal. That was a
Yeah,
great
you just can't do a lot with it. Saliba,
yeah, Saliba was blindsided. He was ball watching, and I don't think he was aware. His awareness that Firmino wasn't there. But what can you do? It was a great goal. It was a great finish as well. I thought it was going wide, and it went right in the corner. I thought,
Ramsdale couldn't do anything about it.
No. So yeah. I can't. I don't want to have too many hang-ups over it. It's easier to say now because obviously at the end of the day it was academic. He ended up winning anyway, but my mindset might have been a little bit more different if it would stay 2-2. But it was a great goal. There's nothing much we can do about that, I don't think. And the last thing we want to do is start criticising players like Saliba because, to be honest, how much good has he done for us? We wouldn't be where we are without him. He's just been magnificent. And
you see in these big games, Neil, that centre-backs, they are going to get pulled from penalty, and there is going to be these odd little mistakes. And I would call that a little error. Just like you said, he gets caught looking at the ball, he gets twisted round, maybe his body position is not quite right, but it's a fantastic ball. I'm watching it again and again, I'm like, what can he do? Positioning, it's very difficult. So, but at that point it's 2-2 and you're like, again, what's great though is it didn't change anything about the way we'd started that half because we had that great chance with Odegaard where he was on the edge of the area and he just drilled it straight at the goalkeeper and I was very frustrated. Yes. I remember watching that thinking, he's got to either give it a Saka or just, he's got such a good shot on him. Sometimes he's just a bit tame in front of goal, almost tentative to take the shot on. And every now and then he forgets about that, and that's when he scored a couple this season, didn't he? Where he just forgot about it and just unleashed it. And he just needs to do that more often. He needs to come more naturally to it because he gets in such good position, Odegaard. But it was weird, wasn't it? In the first half, I felt Xhaka and Partey were quite poor after the goal. I thought Partey was losing the ball. They were pressing on him. Yeah, Thiago was very good. I was shocked how I thought Fabinho was injured, but apparently he's been so poor they've just not been starting him. I'm like, you're not starting Fabinho. I mean, you're playing Henderson in there. I was like, how bad must Fabinho have been? But he was terrible when he came on as well. But it was, they scored. But other than that, Neil, even in the whole of the second half, I don't really remember. I know you said the last 10 I was nervous, but if you watch back at the game, they didn't really create a lot.
How much did Ramsdale have to do? Not really much.
It was the first half, that 20-30 minute block that worried me the most because I hadn't been used to seeing us without the ball, But then there was a point in that second half where we weren't letting them out. We were pummeling them like we did. I think the City home game where we lost 2-1 last season, but we really should have won. I think in a way that was the turning point for this group. Like that was a sign that we can.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting because we really were controlling that game for large periods.
That was the officiating. I'm never going to never say nothing else. Sorry.
It was poor. It was poor the officiating. But in the second half, Neil, Xhaka was finding spots in that high left position. Partey was so much cleaner on the ball. He was so much quicker on the ball. He was winning those 50-50s that he wasn't winning the first half. And basically, we just weren't letting them out. They were just sitting deeper and deeper and deeper and falling further and further back into their box. It was amazing to see, wasn't it? A Liverpool team do that. And you were just like, wow, we're literally pummeling them. And I don't know where you were at when the goal happened, or when the penalty happened. I want to get your opinion on it. But it was from such a period of play where we were shooting, it was getting blocked, saved. Saka was Odegaard trying to shoot another block, and I was just so frustrated. I was just lying back. I'm usually sitting like this. I was just lying back, and I was like, it's just not going to go in. Like that. That was basically what it was. And I remember. And then the penalty happened. And I want to know, before I ask you about this penalty, let's just revert back. What were your thoughts on the Gabriel handball penalty appeal?
So when I first saw it, I thought we were lucky. When I first saw it, and even during the chat, I was like, oh, we're lucky we got away with that.
Yeah.
And then I watched a couple of the analysis talk about it on not only Match of the Day. I watched something else when I can't remember what that was. It might be something online actually.
Yeah, I saw something. Yeah,
and they actually said, to be fair, if you look at the distance, it was more ball to hand rather than It was it wasn't, the distance was too short.
About a yard away, wasn't he?
Yeah, and in a weird way, his hand, although it looked unnatural, I think he was trying to almost balance or position himself, and it's something that normally, you would just
because he's still moving.
Do. Yeah, exactly. So he was in motion, and I think that's probably why it wasn't given. But the problem is, what they were comparing it was with the game, the other game. It was Brentford Newcastle. I don't know who it was.
Right.
And it was similar. I could be wrong, but it was literally an identical thing, and the penalty was given. So then they were saying, well, it's the inconsistencies that
is the problem.
Inconsistencies. So I get it. I get the frustration. I understand it. Of course, all the ex-Liverpool pundits, that should have been given. Of course, Souness and all. Souness and everyone was talking about how the penalty shouldn't have been a penalty or whatever. Shut up. But I think in hindsight, no. I mean, it was probably too close. The distance was too close. Yeah. So I think afterwards, with hindsight, I don't think it was a penalty.
Yeah, I agree. And also, if you watch the zoomed in, slowed down recording, it actually hits his chest first, goes off his chest to his arm.
He motioned. He was saying.
And I thought, it didn't hit your chest, Gabriel, but if you watch it, it hits his left side of his chest and then it hits up to his arm. And I've had, some Liverpool fans text me and they're like, how can you say that's not a penalty? Because his arm's in an unnatural position. I was like, well, if you've played football, your arm, you're not a penguin. If your arms are beside you or behind your back when you're moving, that is unnatural. That is to do this when you're running is not natural. You're supposed to be here. Do you know what I mean? And the difference there is the ball didn't fly out and then he did that. His hand was there and then the ball hits him from a yard away. So the decision is right. The problem is the inconsistency, and people will look at multiple other handballs where they'll go, oh, look, this guy went up for the ball here and someone headed it into his hand. And I went, that was the wrong decision, though. That was stupid. Anytime they give a handball for when the hand's just there and it just whacks into it from a yard, that is a stupid decision.
Yes.
So this was common sense prevailing, for sure.
Correct.
It's not biased to say that. This was definitely common sense. But in saying that, because of the inconsistencies, the first thing you say is, oof, we're lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah, I thought during the game, I thought we were lucky, yes.
Right, exactly. The only discrepancy I personally would have for that kind of incident is where the ball is literally going in the goal. That would be my discrepancy. So do you remember in the FA Cup final when we lost to the Owen double and we battered Liverpool? Yeah. And Stefan Hencho was on the line.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And Henry smashes it. Hencho's like this. He doesn't mean to hit it, but he's in the goal and it hits his hand and goes out. To me, that should be a penalty because it's literally a goal. And that's the only difference I personally would have for it.
Yeah,
otherwise, common sense has to prevail. And if your hand's just there, that's stupid. Because we've been seeing ones even this season where someone goes up for a header, the ball's behind them, and it just whacks their hand, and they're going, that's unnatural. And I'm like, that is ridiculous. He's looking this way. It's hit his hand from behind. I mean, what do you want that bloke to do? Same thing with this Gab. What do you want him to do? He's running. Right. He hasn't stand still. He's still running towards the ball. It's hit off his body into. It's just ridiculous to say. I think it's actually ridiculous.
It does. It does.
It does.
I thought, Gabriel, don't do that. But he was right. He was saying he's that.
But like you, even if it doesn't, he's still moving. He's a yard away. Smashed it at him. His arm was already there. I think it's ridiculous to call it a pen. Now, the other one is definitely more debatable to a degree, maybe. I'm people are going to say we're biased, but I still think it is a pen, this one. But what did you think on the Jesus Thiago one? What was your thoughts on that one?
It was a pen. I'm sorry, because he does make contact with his leg. It's as simple as that. He goes for the ball, but he misses the ball. He hits the back of his leg, and that's it. And all right, I don't care if everyone's going on about, oh, look, Jesus made a meal of it. How many players do that? They all do it.
Yeah, of course. We're just doing what Salah's done 50 times. But
by the letter of the law, he's hit his leg. He's made contact. So isn't that the law now? You make contact.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be what they call soft, but that's what annoyed me. I heard everyone, especially all the Liverpool Barnes, kept on and on about, oh, that was a soft penalty. Kept on and on about it. Then you had Souness, soft on talk, the talk sport. Soft penalty. That's a soft penalty. Then Dion Dublin. Dion Dublin was the funniest. He goes, that was a soft penalty, but it was a pen. So hang on, so it's a pen then.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter difference.
There's no grey area here. It's black or white. End of the day, if you're saying in the same sentence it's a pen, then don't say it's a soft pen. A pen's a pen.
And I've heard people trying to compare it. And they're like, if this was accidental, then that was. I went, no. When you kick someone, it doesn't matter if you intended to kick the ball. Otherwise, no foul would exist.
There would be no foul in the game.
Unless you're just a dirty player. Like, that doesn't make any sense. The point here is people are running and moving, and you've not fouled anybody. It's just hitting a part of your body.
Jack, if that had been out of the box, there would have been a foul given.
Of course there would have. Of course.
So what's the difference?
There isn't a difference. There isn't a difference. However, I've seen us get multiple decisions against us with likes of those before, and it was nice to see it go for us, but it should have done our way. Exactly. So I agree with you. I think it's a pen. I think Thiago misjudges the fact that Jesus gets there before him, and I think they know that Liverpool can do what they like. Then there was a melee. I certainly don't want to speculate on what was said, but something was said.
Definitely.
Something not good was said from Henderson.
It triggered Xhaka.
Yeah, and Gabriel, I've seen. I mean, Xhaka went flipped. The Brazilian players were all
even Firmino's face.
Yeah, and Alisson in the end of the game, and Gabriel was livid. So we'll see. We'll talk about it when something comes out from it. Obviously, we don't want to obviously because there's a lot of stuff that we could speculate on, and we don't.
No, you don't want to do that.
But it didn't look great. But really, with that. What it did was, and I presume this was part of Liverpool's tactic, it delayed the penalty ever. And I thought, what a calm, composed player we've got in Saka. Because that new view is awfully nauseating, isn't it? Is it a new view? The new view from behind the player when they take the penalty, where it's like the camera's on the pitch or whatever.
Yes, it is.
And I was just like, it was just an ages, and I was like, I can't. I've got to watch, but I can't watch. And the last time I remember,
watch, so well done, Jay. At least you watched. Klopp couldn't.
I think we talked about it before we got on air. I think that was such a beautiful moment of weakness from him. Like, I've got to. It was 2-2 at the end of the day. When have Liverpool been playing against you at 2-2 and be desperate for you not to score the penalty? The old Liverpool would be thinking, I'll go up the other end.
Yeah, because they knew how dangerous we've become.
Right.
That's why.
And before that, Neil, at 2-2, he was making defensive substitutions.
Yes.
Just like Tottenham were. To try and contain and hold.
Scaring the hell out of teams, Jack.
Exactly, and that was a huge thing that just didn't get talked about enough from media outlets. That he's taken off his right winger, bringing on defensive players to try to contain us. And we weren't doing that. 2-2, we were looking to bring on Fabio Vieira or Eddie Nketiah, and we were looking like for like changes, and we wanted to win that game. And whether the penalty is a little bit lucky or what, you spend enough time putting them in vulnerable positions, they're going to make an error. And this is where we've lost out to decisions in the past few years, where we've barely entered their box, they've been all in our box, and of course we're going to make an error, or at the very least you're going to make the ref make a decision.
Yes.
But just talk about what's your thoughts on the composure. He scored against Chelsea, penalty, Man U penalty, and now Liverpool penalty. I mean, forgetting about the Euros already, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is that the commentators made straight away talked about the fact that what happened to him over a year ago, but he's already scored a couple of penalties since then. But it's still tough, isn't it? It's still a big ask, especially to win it, potentially win the game, and have that on your shoulders. I mean, you keep forgetting how young he is. I mean, he still looks like he still doesn't even look like he's a teenager. He looks so young.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
God, it was amazing. It was a beautifully taken penalty. Everyone talks about Harry Kane, and Harry Kane is amazing at penalties. No one can take that away from him. But Saka is so young, and after what happened to him, it just melted my heart. It was poetic. It was almost like watching, I don't know, a romantic movie, and the two running off and having a hard time, and then managing to get together. It was just so nice. The whole thing. His celebration, what it meant to him, what it meant to all the other players for him as well. You could see it, and it just melted my heart, Jack. It was brilliant, but his execution, his composure, because he had to wait a long time, but it didn't seem to get to him. he didn't even look nervous as he put the ball down. As he,
you see Van Dijk try to hit the ball out of his hand. Did you see that?
Yeah. They're
all over the place.
I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to swear.
The
they were so frustrated. They were so frustrated because they know now, I think there's a shift. There's definitely a shift. I think they know that this team is going to go places, and we are, Jack. Because
we're young as well. So
we've got. I think this team, this squad, has got a good 6-7 years in them. I really do. Because most of the key players, they're still in their early 20s. So most of them hit their prime, mid to late 20s?
Yeah.
Roughly, would you say?
Yeah.
Right. If we keep them and they stay injury free, oh my God. And I think the other teams are starting to see this. And I think they're starting to see that Arteta is a clever man.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tommy Asu thing was genius. It was a masterclass.
Yeah.
So, I just think we're putting the fear into teams now. The only team that probably won't fear us is Man City, but I think everyone else, you've got to remember now. So how many is it? How many games have we played? We played 9 games. Right, we played 9 games, 8 wins, and the one we lost, we dominated that as well.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Yeah. Yeah. We just made errors. Made errors at key times.
And in a way, the consolation I get from that is, in a way, I'm glad it happened because it kind of will make Arteta think that we are still fallible and we still have to be careful and not make silly mistakes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn, Jack. Right?
Oh, exactly. So especially as a young team, yeah.
Exactly. So I think in a way, it was, how can I say that losing was a good thing? But in a way, that's the consolation I draw from it. That because if we'd won all 9, then you'd think, well, and then at some point, it's all going to come tumbling down and it will hurt a lot. I'm glad we've got that out of the way already, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have setbacks. I mean, it's not going to be, there's too many good teams in the league, but
setbacks is fine as long as you learn from it, Jack. Yeah, that's the thing. And I think we've got it in us. And I can't tell you how happy I am. And then after that, there was only one-way traffic. And that's why I think that even if we hadn't scored, even if that penalty hadn't been given, I think we still would have gone and won that game somehow because we were just in complete control. I've never seen us dominate Liverpool like that in that spell after the penalty for a long time. It was great. It was great to see.
Yeah, we really controlled it too. And it's such a contrast from, just last season where you go up in not even a big game. It'd be a regular game and we suddenly bring on and we go to back 3, bring on Holding and, we're nervy biting our nails for the last 20, 30 minutes. I mean, you're not seeing any of that this season, no matter what the score is really. And that's not any criticism of Rob Holding. That's just not that we are not playing that way anymore. We are front footed. We are going out to win games and we're going out to defend. We're going to defend it from the front. So we're going to really, I think this was based on the second half performance. I think it was that strong. It was actually a 2-goal winning game. I think we should. The fair and XG kind of bears that out. I think it says we basically should have scored 3 to their 1 or something around there. Yeah. So I think it was definitely a fair result at the very least. But we probably should have won by 1 more. We had a few chances, that we before the penalty and the Odegaard shot, and 1 or 2 others that we really could have put it to bed a little bit more. But still, absolutely fantastic to come back into the league for the 3rd time.
Passes in the box or something?
Yeah, I think it was at 46, 49 to their 18, 19.
Which was more than, I don't know, all of our, in the last season or something, put together in one game or something, something like that.
Yeah, against Liverpool, I think that was. It's like the most, it's somewhere between what they created is like the lowest they've created in the last 2 seasons or something like that. So it shows that, a lot of people say to me, we've been rubbish all season. I went, no, but the data bears that this was actually your worst game of the season. And in terms of both boxes, this was your worst game and you were pushed to the extent of you were dominated. I know you've had bad results against Brighton, but you, in terms of the data, it's saying that you really didn't create very much at all in this game. Yeah. Even though you scored 2 goals, you didn't create very much at all.
The interesting thing though is both the last 2 games, the Bodo and this, we actually didn't get the possession. The other team,
yes,
which is which
we had 45% in this or 44%.
Yeah, but it makes me happy that we can play like that and we can still churn out good results. And it's quite comforting to me.
Yeah, I think what skewed it in this game was that 30 minutes after the first goal, because they were having a lot of what we would have called last season, how do you say it, unthreatening possession. We did that a lot last season. A lot of the ball with their centre backs. Would have been frustrating from my perspective because I felt we could have the ball, but also from their perspective, I'm sure Liverpool fans would have been sitting there going, "We're not creating anything here. We've got some Arsenal got us at arm's length, which we did have. I don't think we were under the cosh or anything.
No,
but." After the third, which was huge, I mean, the crowd, I'm sure you've watched the Peter Drury commentary. I've watched it like 50 times. It's brilliant. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing, really. He should be commentating on every game. But it's just amazing to listen to, really. And Alisson's a pretty good stopper from penalties as well. So Saka had to hit it with pace and into the corner. But after that, obviously, the Jesus incident with the head injury looked like he might have lost consciousness, to be honest, initially. I don't know. He can't have done. You'd hope he can't have done. I don't trust the concussion protocols, really, after what we've seen with the likes of Bellerin and players like that, and other players, with stuff that's gone on. And I don't really trust it. A lot of people saying he completed a protocol on the pitch. I'm like, well, that doesn't really exist. They do an evaluation on the pitch, but he seemed fine. I mean, in the terms of the way he continued to play, but he certainly was in the wars a little bit. I mean, Jesus.
Oh, God, yeah.
Was about all over the place, wasn't he? Even after that, he ran into the goalkeeper.
His goalkeeper's shoulder just slapped him in the head. Absolutely hitting hard.
Yeah. So hopefully he's okay. Give him midweek off. Don't let him travel, maybe.
He can't, please God.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him travel personally. No. But I think we might. But I wouldn't. I'm sure the likes of Odegaard and Xhaka and people like that will travel. But what a win! I mean, I can't wait for bench cam to come out just to watch how Arteta goes mental on the sidelines during the game, because that usually comes out around Tuesday, doesn't it? So, but after that, like you said, we were worried. They extended the time. There was that conversation between the managers and the ref because of the incident.
Yeah.
Schmick has, on Saka and on Jesus, that left back, he's a little bit dirty. I thought he was a little bit dirty. He was leaving his foot in, leaving his elbows in, acting all innocent. He knows Saka's, he's a devastating player to deal with. So he was trying to be more physical with him. And the great thing about Saka is his temperament. I think there's a lot of challenges that go in on Saka that someone his age and we've had.
Strong in age, Jack. He's so strong.
But he never loses it, does he? He never loses his cool. When has Saka lost his cool?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Almost every one of our players loses their cool at some point. And Saka, Martinelli not quite, but he's close. He has amazing temperament. Even Smith Rowe, I remember thinking last season, temperament of these players really, really good for such young players. Yeah. Their temperament is very, very good. They never lose their heads, despite the fact they're getting, pulled from pillar to post at times. But made a few changes. I was calling for Fabio Vieira to come on a little bit earlier for Odegaard because I thought Odegaard had a good game, but he was getting pressed a little bit in that first half, and I think they were trying to push on his press because they knew we wanted to give him the ball a lot. And I think Fabio Vieira has earned a bit of game time, but again, we'll see him in midweek. But Neil, I mean, there's only two teams in Premier League history that have won 8 out of the first 9, and that was us. In 07 and 08 and 04 and 05, or it was 14-15 and 04-05, but it was us twice. Both times we didn't win the league, so that wasn't a good omen in that sense. But where do you think it leaves us? I mean, I'm not truly really talking about title and things like that because Man City decided to sign a flipping cyborg, but some people are. I mean, I think realistically, a lot of Arsenal fans are just kind of enjoying the moment, and they're like, "Yeah, if you're going to talk about the title, you got." Yeah. But we're there by merit.
Yeah, obviously, we got there by fluke.
Yeah. If it was 10 games to go, I'd be talking about it. But in saying that, Neil, whilst I don't think we're going to win the title or anything like that, we're way ahead of any sort of schedule. In just being in the conversation. And secondly, I just think, every game we really should have won. And City haven't played, they've only played one team in the top 6, and that's
correct. We're the only ones that play more than anyone else in the top 6.
So everyone that's saying, you're not playing, can't say that anymore. Obviously we lost to Man U, but they've drawn with Newcastle and Villa. So, they're not being faultless as such. Haaland obviously looks like something we've never seen before, which is It's very frustrating. It's just annoying the heck out of me. And he's only been in the league for 10 minutes. So, but
he's 8 goals away from last year's golden boot. That's how ridiculous he is.
yeah, it's mental, isn't it? It's mental,
It's just
but
unheard of.
it's just insane. But in your head, you're like, you can't keep this up. But when you watch him, you're like, yeah, probably can. But it's frustrating. But where do you think? Where would you say it leaves us? What's your opinion? 9 games in, a fantastic start.
Look, the pragmatic and reasonable Neil will say that, yeah, I didn't see this coming, and the goal was to get top 4 and hopefully the Europa Cup. That was the goal. I guess it still is. But having said that, the way we're playing, Jack, and for me, I keep saying this to everyone, it doesn't matter how many goals Haaland and City score. We only played them twice. You know, they could win every game 20-0. And at the moment, who's top of the league? We are. And we're there, as you said, we're there by merit. We're there by merit. We haven't, if you look at every single game, we've not been lucky in any of them. We've won them because we've played well. And for me, honestly, Jack, if we stay away from key injuries,
That's the big thing.
That's the big thing. If we get because I always used to question us as well and our attitude, our mentality, whether we can get too complacent. We might have seen a bit of that, as you were saying. Why do you think we stepped off in the first half against? But again, we'll learn from it. If that was the case, we'll learn from it, and Arteta will drill that into their heads. I don't see why not, because we've only played them twice. We could have a good game against them. I'm not saying we'll go and win both games because that's being silly. But at home, you know, if the crowd gets behind the team, which they will do, especially against City. I'm not sure when we play them, by the way, but I think
that's the one that got postponed, isn't it?
That's the one that got postponed because of the PSV game.
So it's not before the World Cup.
No, it's not.
It's in January, probably.
You know, even if we get a point, it stops them getting 2 points. Anything could happen, and I think we're in it. I think we're in the title race.
We're in it more than anyone else. That's for sure.
Well, I don't see why not. Look at we've just talked about it, and you've made some good points about it. I think we're scaring the living daylights out of teams. The managers are making major substitutions 20, 30 minutes before the bloody game is over. And that's because of the way we're playing. So, and that's against Liverpool and Tottenham. And, you know, Tottenham are apparently going to win everything and the shift of power and all that rubbish nonsense. Yeah. You know, I keep hearing over and over again, well, we haven't been tested. We hadn't been tested before Tottenham. We beat them. We hadn't been tested because we haven't played Liverpool. We beat them. Now they'll say we haven't been tested because we haven't played City. Well, who's left? Who else? I'm sorry.
We're answering a lot of questions, yeah.
We're answering a hell of a lot of questions. There is no reason, in my mind, if we keep our players fit, that we can't go on and be right there in May.
Yeah.
No reason for me at all.
Yeah, it's obviously it's those few positions. I mean, I'm sure your heart was in your mouth when Ramsdale pulled up with his hip and
of course,
you saw Turner get. So that position, obviously the party one, which we've discussed, and probably Saka. But
well, we haven't got the depth that City have got. I'm not going to be. I admit that. We've got depth in some good. Well, look, I mean, the left back position, there's no worries now, is there?
I think defensively we're good, actually. Back four, we're
great,
decent. Yeah.
100%. But midfield, you know, Xhaka party for one of them, suspensions, injuries, there's a worry.
Problem.
As you said, with the goalkeeping position. Mind you, Turner impressed me in the Boda game. I mean, it's only Boda, but Boda played well, to be fair.
Yeah, it's just with his feet, obviously, the ball playing. But...
Yeah, of course. He's no Ramsdale, but
no.
You know, there's potential there. But I get it. The goalkeeping position, the midfield position, you know, a couple of other areas maybe. You know, if you lost Martinelli, for example, you know, there's Nelson could come in, as we've talked about. But so I agree that, you know, we are on a bit of a rope, you know, a knife edge, a little bit with the injury situation. But if somehow they all stay fit, and no orc goes and maims them in a game, which is, I think now that's it. A lot of managers are going to start employing that. That's why I'm a bit worried about Leeds, because that's definitely going to be a physical game.
Yeah.
But I think if we can stay away from that and we can look after ourselves, I don't see why not, mate. I don't see why not. There's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're in it more than anyone else. We're there by merit. We deserve to be top of the league, I think, at this point in time. And obviously, City, they've been there, done it. They've progressed their squad again, but their squad isn't quite as thick in certain areas as people think. Certainly at fullback position, they just lost Kyle Walker. They have cover for him, but if they lost another one, they'd have problems because obviously they didn't sign Cucurella and they sold us Zinchenko, and they never really. They brought in a young left back in. His name's Sergio Gomez, but he's very young from Anderlecht, so he's like 20, 21. So. But again, like you say, they're stacked. But you don't know. They've got to probably play more of their first team players in Europe than we do.Maybe not so much now because they're basically through the group, I think. But that's why you'll get onto it. But the midweek game for us, I think it's really important for us to. I think lots of people after those two games will say rest everyone. I think most likely Arteta won't do that. I think he will play a few of those first team players because he knows that, resting them now, if we don't get the result that we want, means we're going to have to play all of these 6 games with them. And topping the group is really, really important, as we've spoken about in terms of missing that next game. So you want to top the group. So I expect us to go at least as strong as we did on the home game, I think, because we're away. It's going to be a trickier game.
It is.
So I'm expecting us to do that. And then that's Thursday. And then obviously we'll play Leeds on Sunday, so I'm guessing he's going to play similar team on Thursday. Maybe Gabriel, Xhaka. Hopefully he doesn't start Martinelli, but
I hope not.
But who do you start out of the first team instead of him? You're not starting Saka because Saka plays more than Martinelli, doesn't he? So you're not going to start Saka. You're not going to start Jesus. So where's it going? I mean, obviously it'd be nice to see. Obviously, Tomiyasu will start and Tierney will start, and I expect White or Gabriel, one of them, to start alongside Holding and that kind of thing. But hopefully, I mean, they're a quite good footballing team, Bodo Glimt, and they've got a strong fan base. They make a huge noise. Their home
games were amazing. I've got to say, they were amazing.
Yeah. Unless you want to touch on anything else from the absolutely epic game. What's your prediction for that and for Leeds?
You're going to be surprised at my Leeds one, but Bodo, I think it'll be 2-0 because I'm a bit concerned about this artificial pitch. I'm not going mad with it, and they're a good side. I'm going to go 2-0. I love what Holding does when he comes on for those types of games. I think he's epic. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's great goal in midweek, wasn't it?
So underrated. And I get why people. He's not. Look, obviously, he's not going to be a first team starter in the Prem. I get that, but he never complains and he just does his job when he comes on. I love that about him. So I'm not even worried about the defence. And then we've got Tomiyasu and Tierney to start, who would be our normal first team starters. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Defensively, we are packed solidly.
I think Tomiyasu found himself to be really quite unlucky. Like I personally agree with Tierney dropping in the sense of I felt we needed something different. I think we talked about this last season from left back, but Tomiyasu literally.
Oh, he's unlucky. Yeah.
You didn't see it, did you? So,
but White's been great.
He's been brilliant.
Unbelievable.
He's been brilliant. Really good. He's such an interesting bloke, isn't he, White? Because when he gets interviewed, he doesn't really want to talk.
No, he doesn't. You
can tell he doesn't really care to talk about football.
He doesn't watch football.
Yeah, he doesn't watch it. His family don't like it.
No,
they don't come to the games.
No,
or something, right? And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, that's weird. What? And he's into all this. I think he's all into this reality TV stuff and things like that. But whatever it is,
it's a job
that helps separate his mind from what he does at work. But maybe a lot of people maybe need a little bit more balance. So
he was interviewed after this game, and he's like literally one word answers. He didn't want to be there. Yeah. He just didn't want to know. And it's not because he's arrogant or anything. I just don't think you're right. For him, it's just a job. It's like and 95 obviously when going to work and then coming home. It's just. Because I remember when one of his first interviews, he was asked about the legends and the Invincible teams, and he said, "I don't really watch it. I don't really know much." Because obviously I know who they are, and I was like, my mouth was on the floor. I said, "What? You don't know about these players?" And he was honest. To be fair to him, he was honest. Yeah. Because I'm not interested. My family don't like it, as you said. Absolutely. It's really interesting. You are right. He's a really
interesting to watch.
Never seen anything like it.
And mental that Southgate. He'll take him, I think, but it's just mental that he's not starting for England, to be honest. But
do you know what? To be honest, if none of our players get picked for
I don't want him going.
I'll be so happy.
Saka obviously is going to be a huge part of it.
Of course,
but I think it's fantastic what they're doing with Ramsdale. brilliant.
Yeah.
Pickford is a complete donut. I mean, and he's still number one. I'm like, brilliant. Keep him number one. Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Maguire's still the best centre back. Fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry, you'd asked me a question about the games. So I think it'll be very similar to the team that we put out at the home leg, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be that many changes. I think you're right. I think it'll be good. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing Nelson start because I liked what I saw.
Cedric's fit again. I don't know if that would
might happen.
Change anything. Would it? I don't know. Where would he play? Well, he might do. He might do a Cedric Tierney thing, and then play Tomiyasu as the senior fullback alongside Holding. He could do that.
Could do.
I'm not sure I love the thought of Cedric playing at all, but yeah, go on.
But you never know. But I mean, there's a definite. Eddie definitely will start. Marquinhos will start. Vieira will start. That's the certs. You know that, and then it's just the other ones how he does it. But I think he's definitely going to play a couple of the seniors because you're right. He doesn't want to risk us not winning this, and then we're fighting later on, down the line. So. I'm just worried about this pitch. That's my only concern. But hey, let's see what happens. But I think we'll win. I think it'll be 2-0. It'll be 2-0. And I want Eddie to score again.
Okay, 2-0 Eddie. And what about for Leeds away?
Leeds is going to be a funny one. I think it's going to be a tough. I think we'll start off fast. And if we do, great. And if we get an early couple of goals, then great. I think if we get those early couple of goals, I think we're going to run away with it. And I know it's away, I know it's Leeds, and it's always been a tough tie. But there's always been some kind of rivalry between us and Leeds. Always. We've had some epic games in the past, FA Cup games in the league in the early 70s. It was all a huge thing. And the Leeds fans, of course, are going to make it a very intimidating atmosphere. But we've proven, away to Palace, away to Brentford, we've proven that we can go away and sucker up those intimidating atmospheres. I think if we get a good start and we get a couple of early goals, I think we're going to win 5-1.
5-1.
I think it's high time that we got a high-scoring game because we're more than capable of doing it.
Wowza. First scorer?
You know what? I'm going to say Jesus because he hasn't actually netted for a couple of games. So Jesus.
That'd be nice. I'll go. I think midweek's going to be tough because I do think I don't think we're going to play many first team players from this. Well, they've just had two really hard games, so but I'll go. I hope we sneak it so we can sneak it 2-1. I'll go 2-1. First goal scorer, I'll go with Vieira, and I love him. I think it's brilliant.
I love him as well. I love him.
In a year, he's going to be unreal.
Oh, don't
get used to the league, a little bit stronger. I don't know the position he's coming for, but he's coming to the team. He's definitely going for it.
He'll be a first starter soon.
Yeah. Odegaard's going to raise his level watching him. I think. Yeah, he's going to raise it. But and then Lee, I definitely not as confident. Like you said, I remember some real big battles at Ellen Road. So I'll go 2-1 as well for that one. Hopefully we'll win that one. 2-1. I'll go.
Day long. I'll take that all day long, mate.
I'll go Odegaard for the first goal scorer for that one.
Odegaard. Good man. Do you know what? We shouldn't be worrying about scoring loads of gols because at the end of the day, we know City is just going to destroy everything. So
their goal difference is going to be ridiculous. Goal difference
is irrelevant this season because City's. I think they're going to break records. So if they carry on the way they can,
the league should want a title race between us and City. Those are the two best footballing teams at this moment in the league, without question. Without question. And I include even Liverpool. Well, I personally, even at Liverpool's peak, never really regarded them as this amazing footballing team. I think their game was largely based around intensity and pace, and that constant energy that they were getting from stuff that we don't want to talk about. But that kind of but it wasn't. It was a completely different game. It wasn't like they were playing the same game. But City and Arsenal, they are football purist kind of teams. If we continue to play like this, obviously with short span, but in terms of this season, those are the best teams to watch. That's the best advert for the league. If you start putting Tottenham in the mix, or they are an awful advert for football, just a terrible advert for football.
I mean, the common benchmarks is to look at where we are after 10 games. We're only one way from 10 games, and we're top of the league. the other is at where we are at Christmas. And then, as you said, then with 10 games left. So we've already passed the first test and we're top.
Yeah. A long way to go, but we do, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
But,
No, you do it. You do what you can. Like you said, hopefully stay fit. Hopefully get to this plastic pitch that you're talking about, the turf pitch, unscathed. And yeah, it's always awkward for a team that's never played on it as well. They're used to playing on it, and we're not used to playing on it. So home field advantage is one thing. Then you've got a whole new surface to play on. So it's not going to be easy. This team's gonna.
Tierney worries me about that game on Thursday. Tierney worries me because he's susceptible.
Well, yeah, I wonder. Like my brother was saying, John was saying, he thinks we picked Tomiyasu at the start of the game. He was saying Tierney can't be fully fit. He just can't be fully fit. I don't, he didn't think it was a tactical thing, and I was like, I think he's doing this on purpose. I think Tierney must be fully fit because he played in midweek, and John said, well, he come off early. He came off early because Zinchenko might not be fit for the weekend. He was considering at that point starting him, I think.
Yes.
So that's what my consideration was. But yeah, like you said, Tierney's fitness, we're really managing them well, though, the fullbacks. I mean, they're still getting injured. Zinchenko's injured, but in terms of their game time, Tomiyasu as well, very injury prone last season. But look how much he's being eased in, probably too much for his liking. But in terms of his fitness and his, injuries, this is the best gradual progression we could give to Tierney and Tomiyasu. So we're giving them the best chance. Obviously, you never know, but giving them the best chance. So let's see. I wonder if he plays Gabriel midweek, or like you said, takes him out of the limelight for a little bit. Be interesting. I don't think he's missed a game, has he, all season, Gabriel? So as much as he was saying,
he just needs a rest. It could be just that he just needs a rest. It's possible.
Yeah, because I wonder.
Out of the two, he's the one that's been making a little bit of, a few errors. And
I wonder if he might play White in midweek, or he might do. He might move him to centre back with Holding, or like I said, maybe play Tomiyasu and bring Cedric in. That could be what he does.
There's options.
Yeah. We've got a few options. Just hope we turn up and get a win. But boys, thank you, Neil. We are on at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter. You can find our links there in the homepage on there, and feel free to tweet us any questions. And we're at YouTube. Just type in Purely Arsenal Podcast, and you'll see our podcast come up. Please subscribe to us on there because we release it a little bit earlier on YouTube, and it takes a little bit longer to get up onto the other apps. All free, advert free, cost free. None of this Patreon stuff or advertising at the start.
$2.99 to join for membership, or pay us $5.99 to listen to us talk. Yeah, whatever.
God, I'm seeing some of these pods now, and they're just chucking in 3 minutes of adverts before they even start, and acting like it's just I didn't realise it was there, and I'm like, come on now. We're just fans talking about Arsenal, so we won't charge you. Come and subscribe to us. You won't have to wait for an advert every 5 minutes on YouTube. It's talking straight through. Because, like Neil says offline, we're rich and we don't need the money, isn't it, right now?
You're right.
Guys, I've got one of these for every day of the week. Okay.
I love that.
Go get your shirts. I'm representing here. Finally got it.
Mate, I'll have to get that shirt. It's
beautiful. Yeah. It is very nice, very comfortable. But Neil, thank you so much.
No problem.
Keep it up. Keep it up, Arsenal. 2 more wins this week, please. 2 more wins. Up the arse.
Let's do it.